Next is cardiovascular complications. You can have aortic incompetence. You can see these things in ankylosing spondylitis patients. And then neurological complications, as I told you, if there are too much of bone being formed and it goes and presses upon the neurological structures, patient can come to you with neurological symptoms also. And next is pulmonary complications. I told you, once the chest is being compressed from all sides, what will happen? Chest is not going to expand. Once the chest is not expanding, there is the respiratory excursions are decreased. That means there is stagnation of blood as well as stagnation of all the material is there inside, and over a period of time, if the chest is not expanding, one lobe of the lung or some region of the lung is stagnant there like this, and hence it is not functional, it gets consolidated, you have infection in it, and ultimately patient will die of all those pulmonary complications, right. Sometimes patient can have generalized osteopenia and even amyloidosis also. How do you examine these patients? Clinically, I told you, clinically examine for sacroiliac joint, spine, and excursion of the spine movements, flexion, extension, all those things, even Fletcher's test for cervical spine, and you take radiographs. If you see the radiographs, in the lateral view, there will be squaring of the vertebra, right. What is squaring of the vertebra? Usually there will be an anterior concavity on this vertebra, but once there is hypertrophic bone formation spreading from one bone to the other, as well as ossification of the anterior longitudinal ligament, the vertebra which is concave on the anterior aspect is lost and it becomes just like a square body box. That is initial sign actually. Over a period of time it so happens, and the anterior and posterior longitudinal ligaments, they fuse and end up in a strong stiff spine called as bamboo spine, right. So bamboo spine is a feature of ankylosing spondylitis. Once you see the sacroiliac joints, they are erosed in the initial stage, the joint space is increased, there is osteopenia around this joint in the initial phases. Later on, what happens? Once the joint is erosed, it's fused. This is the sacrum, this is the ilium, both of them at the sacroiliac joint, it gets fused, and you have a bony bridges seeing at the level of sacroiliac joint. These are all the radiographic features what you can see in the X-ray of the pelvis and the X-ray of the spine, right. Sometimes if it is you are finding that ankylosing spondylitis is affecting the peripheral joints, you can find ankylosis of the joints, more specifically hip joints also is a possibility. What is the differential diagnosis? DISH. What is DISH? Diffuse idiopathic skeletal hyperostosis is one of the differential diagnoses. Fluorosis. In fluorosis also you can have all these features, but more specifically you can see ossification of the interosseous ligament in the both bones of forearm, and you can see ossification of the posterior longitudinal ligament more commonly than anterior. In ankylosing spondylitis you can find ossification of both anterior as well as posterior longitudinal ligaments, and there are so many spondylo conditions, they are called seronegative spondyloarthropathy, starting from psoriasis, Rhetus disease, Behcet's, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis and Whipple's, all of them are associated with HLA-B27. So you have to identify all these things can have spondylo, that means joint spine related arthropathy, simple, and inflammation of these three joint complex, right. Sometimes tuberculosis of the spine, TB sacroiliitis are the most important differential diagnosis you need to carry out in the initial early phases of ankylosing spondylitis. They come in early, and in the later phase if there is a spondylotic or lumbar or cervical or holistic whole of the spine is affected with degenerative processes, lot of bones being formed, and as a protective phenomena, stage of dysfunction, stage of instability, stage of stabilization. At the stage of stabilization in the normal degenerative spondylosis, if too much of bone is formed and trying to bridge the bone, it just looks like ankylosing spondylitis. So that also comes under differential diagnosis. There are some other investigations, especially HLA-B27 will be positive in nearly 85 to 90% of the cases. How do you treat? Don't give rest here. If you give rest, it becomes more even worse. So there are general measures to maintain the fitness. Do some amount of physiotherapy if they are not able to do, and then give drugs. Okay. So one is physical modality of treatment. The best physical modality is exercise by himself. If he is not able to do, ask the physiotherapist to aid him. Next is anti-inflammatory drugs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs and steroids, and tumor necrosis factor inhibitors like infliximab, adalimumab and all those, etanercept, all those things have come, but they have their own side effects, right. They have a promising role in decreasing the inflammation, ultimately stopping the fusion process, ankylosis process that is happening in these joints of affection because of autoimmune etiology or pathology, right. And if at all a patient has come to you with already existing deformity, what you have to do? You have to restore the mobility by doing some corrective surgeries. Hence, spinal osteotomies, which are risky surgeries in these cases, are also done to what? To correct the deformity and stop the progression of the disease and stop the neurological impingement and neurological complications, right. There ends the spine part of it. Next comes the osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Shall we continue in this class or shall we wait for the next class, so that we can end up in the next class with this osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis and some other what should I say, miscellaneous orthopedic topics, right.